Now, Sports Talk with Broads. Here's Hunter Brody.
What is going on, everybody? Welcome on into Sports Talk with Broads. Right from the rip, I need to say something before we start analyzing this ugly 13-1 loss, which snapped the Phillies' 9-game win streak. I am going to show how disappointed I am in certain players today, but do not lose sight of the full picture, okay? Because I'm sure maybe 5, 6, 7, 8 minutes in, you'll probably be thinking, damn, Broads, that's a little harsh considering they went on the road and swept Milwaukee, or they had a couple series in a row now where they either swept or took 2 of 3. I'm fully acknowledging that their full body of work to put themselves in this position back to 500 baseball is magnificent, and I do have faith in them that they will continue this nice run of baseball. But analyzing this game just as an individual game, yeah, I'm bothered watching Alec Bohm be horrible in the field with inexcusable play defensively that little league players do not make. The fact that you're not tagging a runner who's running to third base 5 inches away from you, nobody's out. Now it's bases loaded. The fact that JT Realmuto can't catch a damn baseball to maybe get out of that jam where now it's a 0-0 game instead of a couple runs, and it's demoralizing. You should have been able to turn to JT. How do you just miss the baseball? Then I'm watching Ranger Suarez try to follow it up. He's basically trying to pick the ball up while he's running full speed. He's almost falling over. It just looked so embarrassing and so pathetic. And obviously, the defensive miscues were going to be an issue. Not so much from JT, to be fair. And he did strike out with bases loaded. Him and Nick Castellanos in the 5th inning when the baseball game was 4-1, which you would love for your offense to step up in that particular spot. And Nick Castellanos even said afterwards that he doesn't feel right now. He doesn't feel comfortable, but sometimes it only takes one swing. And yeah, I mean, we haven't really seen the purest form of Nick Castellanos yet. It's just so hard for me to watch Alec Bohm play, and I get it. He gets an RBI single later on, but he's not making up for that. And it's like, there's a difference between not being able to field a ground ball at the MLB level that's rocketed towards the third base side the way Nolan Arenado does it, or the way some of these top-tier athletes do that, play the hot corner. I get it. He's never going to be that player. This is a mental mistake of not knowing where to go with the ball before the ball is hit in your direction. This is a controllable. When you just don't know what to do, you hesitate for a millisecond. I mean, you talk about catching a ball and then can you double somebody up? It's all out of whack. It's all out of sync. And he's barely hitting this season when it comes to extra base hits. And he's in a big-time funk, and he's hitting like 246 or so. I need way more if you're going to be this bad defensive. Way more. And like I said, you're being too harsh, Broads. They've won a lot of baseball games with him being this bad at the plate. I know, but it aggravates me because I look at this kid and I say, there's so much more potential in your body. How are you this lost? When it's south and when it's awful, it's one of the most frustrating watches I've ever seen from Alec Bohm on an individual level. And this is why he grinds my gears. And this is why I feel a certain type of way about the kid, because these type of failures and these type of piss poor plays are so unacceptable, and they're such a controllable, and it happens all the time. And I hate to break it to you, if your philosophy is he's somehow gonna get over this and he's gonna get out of this as an MLB baseball player, I don't believe so. There are plenty of young players that grow and get better, and there's areas within his game that I think that will come. This isn't one. There are limitations within everyone's game. He doesn't think the game well. It's like Odubel Herrera. He doesn't think the game well. It drives people crazy. The way Odubel makes dumb IQ mistakes nonstop that everybody despises, Alec Bohm's doing the same damn thing at third base. And it's not okay. And I've given the Phillies a ton of credit for scoring early and putting the pitcher in a fantastic spot where they know they have the lead. They're up 2-0, they're up 1-0, they're up 3-0. It's easier to dial into the game. You think it's easy to throw almost 40 pitches in the first inning if you're Ranger Suarez? Now, that doesn't mean that he didn't stink. He stunk. And I knew the expectations were so damn high, a little too high. Everyone had to calm down because there was no way he was going to replicate what we saw last season. His walk rate is ugly. His velocity has dipped, and players are making some contact here at a rate that's disappointing. Not only that, his whiff rate. I saw Bob Wankel put this out. 2021, all right? If you want to look at his let's look at his changeup. The whiff rate on his changeup was 40%. This year, it's 31.9, so over a 8% difference, 8.1% difference in the whiff rate. You look at 2021 with this sinker, 22.8% when he was in his best form. This year, it's at 12.9. 12.9 compared to 22.8. It's crazy. Now, his last outing was fine. He went 7 innings, and he looked good. But when you think about his last 5 starts and you think about going the 5-inning mark, he's having a difficult time reaching 5 innings. Is there too much of an emphasis of him trying to go deeper into games, which is then kind of making him not the best version of Ranger Suarez in general? I think he's got an awesome skill set, but I also know that he's having some issues up there, and he doesn't look the same. He's walking guys. His command issues are a problem, and I almost wonder if you think about maximizing each player and you want to put them in the best position to succeed, is he better as a bullpen piece, especially knowing that outside of Seranthony Dominguez, there's really nobody that you fully believe in. It's Seranthony Dominguez, Brad Hand when he's not inheriting runners, and long-term I'll believe in Corey Knebel. Right now it's an up-and-down roller coaster ride with a lot of peaks and a lot of valleys, but those are your 3. You need more. You're going to need a lot of additions in that bullpen. There's a lot of guys that are just guys that you pray. You get on your hands and knees whenever their number are called, and it's like, please Bilotti, or please Nick Nelson, or please anybody else. Familia, you're never begging because you just know it's not going to happen. Here's Jose Alvarado, who looks putrid, and anyone who thought that his AAA numbers would be would relate back because he did fine in AAA, these hitters can't sniff his fastball and sniff that velocity. But you knew once he'd get up here, he'd be a shell of whatever numbers he was spitting down there in the minors to gain some sort of confidence. He can't command any of his pitches. Of course it was going to be that awful. So I think Dave Dombrowski, you need a couple pen pieces, no doubt. But if you can find a way to improve the starting rotation, puts Ranger Suarez back into the pen, that might be what suits him best, depending on what name you could pick up for the back end of that starting rotation. But that's something that I am going to look at. It's not like he can't have any good starts. It's not like he's the worst ever if he's a 5th starter. I just want to maximize my players to the best of their ability. And I think what suits him best is maybe more of a bullpen role than forcing him to try and be a specific starter who you can tell that he's not last year. And I think, quite frankly, it's unfair to dial those expectations on him and for him to be that guy. I remember having conversations in my group chat with a couple of my buddies, and it was like, oh, I can't wait to see Ranger again. And I want to see some stuff from Ranger, absolutely. We talked about him implementing more pitches into his repertoire, because if you're going to be a starter that goes deeper and sees more of the lineup multiple times instead of just getting a chance to go out there for an inning or 2, you need more in your bag. You need them up there at the plate guessing which pitch was going to come. You have to work on this and add more into those tricks. So I was definitely excited. But last year was so outrageous. I mean, it was absolutely wildly absurd, the numbers that he was spewing. It was impossible to get anywhere close to that again. I don't know what happened for him. I don't know how it got to that level of crazy good. But it almost set him up for some sort of expectation failure because of how much of an outlier it really was to everything else. not only in his career, but in the world of the baseball world in general, as an entire outlook of Major League Baseball. It was eye-popping. I heard national media talking about it. I heard Chris Rose. I heard Trevor Plouffe of it wasn't on Talking Baseball. It was on Baseball Today, the show that they do daily, talking about what can the Phillies starting pitching rotation be. And once again, the starting rotation as a entire unit has been good. It's been sharp. Tonight, I'm looking at it, and at Ranger Suarez as an individual, I'm looking at it, and it's not acceptable. Same with Mickey Moniak. Not acceptable. Striking out all the time. And I was on the hype train. I was more on the Mickey Moniak hype train. It'd be nice if I could speak today. Apparently, I don't know how to speak. I did do a 4-hour radio show this afternoon. I was up at around 6 a.m. to bring my dog to a behavioral specialist so they can study her, and they diagnosed her with separation anxiety, so we're getting her medication. It's been a long-ass day. I got home, I crashed, then I woke up, I needed a little bit of Chipotle. Now I have this big full stomach of a double steak burrito, brown rice, pinto beans. I went a little queso action, some corn. Yeah, I said pinto beans already, and I wrapped it up, got a little chips and queso and Mr. Pibb, and I got out of there. So I'm sitting in this very filled stomach, and my brain is somewhat mush, and my jaw has been moving from speaking for 4 hours earlier. So I'm a little fatigued, and I feel I've been somewhat not being able to relay my words as smoothly as I would like to. I was feeling better about the Mickey Moniak hype train based off of what I saw him do with the confidence in spring training than what I saw out of the Ranger hype train. Well, you know what? He looks overmatched. He looked overpowered. And I think you'll probably be seeing more of Odubel Herrera than you will be the Mickey Moniak. And Rob Thompson likes to play the young ones. That's what sparked this team. But I mentioned this at the time of everything going really well. It's easy to plug in Bryson Stott when he's hitting home runs. It's easy to plug in Matt Vierling when he hits a home run against the Milwaukee Brewers and he has an explosive moment. Those are easy times to do it. What happens when they go through a funk? What happens when they don't get a hit in 8 at-bats? What happens in 10 ABs? He strikes out in 6 of those. Is it just as easy to say, hey, Mickey, you're playing again tomorrow? At some point, we're going to demand wins. At some point, we need to see better baseball out of him. So if you lose, yes, it's definitely brought up and highlighted a little bit more. When you're winning, some of those deficiencies can hide. Rhys Hoskins can hide. Nick Castellanos can hide. JT can hide a little bit more when you're winning baseball games and Bryce Harper comes up big, or Kyle Schwarber hits a 3-run home run, or Bryson Stott has 4 hits. Didi Gregorius is going the other way. That's when someone struggles, but you still see that, oh, the Phillies keep their win streak alive. It's not as much of an emphasis of discussion. You lose 13-1 where Garrett Stubbs is pitching better than your relief pitchers that you actually caught on earlier in the game. Well, then, yeah, I'm going to mention a 3-strikeout night for Mickey and say, yo, dude, you've been striking out at an unbelievable clip since getting called up or since coming back from being injured. But this year was supposed to be a big year for him, and he's starting off really, really slow. Castellanos with some strikeouts, too. That 5th was deflating. Bases loaded. JT looks lost, man. JT looks absolutely lost. And I guess what I want to look up right now is what is JT Realmuto hitting with runners in scoring position and also with some certain circumstances on the diamond, whether it's 2 men on, 1 out. Let's look at some of these numbers because it just feels whenever he's in a big spot, he fails. Doesn't it feel that way? Let's go to his 2022, not game log, but splits. I need to get a new mouse. My mouse is causing me problems tonight. Just not the best for me. Just not the best for me. Things aren't working out as much as I would like to. All right, nope, don't care about his home and away. I can't even use my scroller because my scroller doesn't work. So I actually have to drag the bar on the right-hand side. All right, I don't care about the count. Here we go, men on. Let's go to, let's see. Let's go with bases loaded this year. He has 8 at-bats, and he's hitting .250 with bases loaded. Okay, runners in scoring position, 244. Feels way worse than that, doesn't it? 0 home runs, 11 strikeouts, 11 hits in 45 at-bats, 244. Slugging 311 with a 619 OPS. He just doesn't look like JT Realmuto to me right now. I don't know if he's hearing the pressure, because I will say there was a time this year where he somewhat did slide underneath the rug, and no one brought him up as much. He'll be fine. He'll be fine. I think we're now in the territory where there's a lot of criticism, there's a lot of upset fans, and there's a lot of noise being generated on how he doesn't seem like the best catcher in baseball in regards to spending all that cash on him, and you're not getting what you thought you would from the plate. And sure, pop time and throwing guys out at second base I think is okay, but there's a lot of areas to this game. I think that there were balls in the beginning of this season that were getting by him that I would expect the JT Realmuto to block and keep in front of him. We talk about today where Ranger Suarez can get out of a sticky spot and somehow manage it to be 0-0. Now you're forcing him to throw 39, 40 pitches, and the Diamondbacks are scoring runs. You gave him it. And you thought that the Diamondbacks were trying to give it right back when Bryce Harper puts a ball in play towards the third base side. There seems to be an error as the ball spins a little bit weirdly, goes off the glove. You get bases loaded for a prime part of your lineup. And I almost wonder, and I said this at the time of the lineup being put out there to the public, JT batting fifth? He's not doing well enough for me to bat him, especially behind another guy who hasn't been hitting well. Nick Castellanos is not the Nick Castellanos that we paid the big bucks to. I think he will become that, and he'll figure this puppy out. But you got two guys who are really having a difficult time batting fourth and fifth. I'm okay with keeping Castellanos in the cleanup spot, but I think maybe a Didi Gregorius, who got another hit today, hitting 316 or so. Well, it was 316 before the hit. Where's he at now? It's in that range. You'll have that righty-lefty. Then maybe you can go to JT, which would be righty-lefty-righty, especially with Bryce Harper and Rhys Hoskins batting second and Schwarber. I mean, it would just perfectly put that lefty-righty, lefty-righty, lefty-righty matchup differently. And I don't know if that changes the outcome of that game. And I don't know what Didi Gregorius does in that moment. Didi's hitting 316, by the way. I don't know what that would change fully. Maybe Didi strikes out. Maybe Didi pops up. I don't know what goes on. But I just don't know if I love those two right now back to back because, well, you can see how that can hurt the team in a crucial spot to try and take things over. So they play the Marlins tomorrow. Sandy on the mound with a 1.61 ERA. There's a lot of things to look at here. All right, one is you're playing the Marlins, and you know you despise that logo, and they're your kryptonite. So just from that angle, show up and do damage. Prove to us that you are for real. That's one, just from a Marlins level. You know how much they've caused you trouble. You know how much there's been trauma involved when you have to play them. Win the damn series and keep the momentum going. That's one. Two, take away who they're playing, which we know which team it is, but take away who they're playing. You win 9 straight, you get punched in the nutsack. How you going to respond? How you going to respond? And I expect them to respond well. I like their attitude right now. But these are questions we're looking at, knowing they're playing the Marlins and opening up this series, and they have a weird week with a 5-game series later on against the Washington Nationals with a doubleheader involved. So it is filled with a bunch of baseball. Let's not look too far ahead, but understand, in a broad sense, there's a lot that's going to be happening within this week, and it starts with the Marlins. I'll open up the phone lines if you want to hop into things here. I'm not trying to stay on too much longer tonight. It's just been a crazy, crazy day for me. Before we take our first call, make sure you check out Freestone Farm CBD. It's my favorite CBD brand. They farm it themselves with all organic inputs, and they offer only the highest quality genetics in their strains and extracts. I've tried a lot of different brands, but honestly, Freestone Farm CBD has been amazing for me. I use it after working out, and I use it before bed. What's even more exciting, our friends at Freestone Farm CBD just unveiled their all-new strain menu with some awesome reasonable prices. They have a tropical tasting Bayox that clocks in at 24.1% CBD. You can utilize promo code BROADS for 20% off at checkout on FreestoneFarmCBD.com. The link is down below in the description. There were just a couple calls that came in, and I guess as soon as I started reading the read, they dropped off. So if you want to climb back in, you can absolutely do that right now at 856-442-9805. But it's okay with me if this is more of a 20-minute opening monologue, and from there we'll kind of shut it down. But I'll give you a minute or so to climb back in as the phone lines went berserk for a couple seconds there, and then everyone dropped off. Okay, here we go. Looks like people are calling back in. We'll take Nolan first here, who's in Hilltown, PA. How you feeling, Nolan?
I'm feeling okay, bro. It's obviously this winning streak was bound to come to an end soon, but I was actually at the game today, and I feel bad, really bad for all the 40,000 plus people that had to sit and watch this embarrassment by the Phillies. But again, like I said, we knew this winning streak was bound to end at some point.
It was. And whether you lose 6-1 or 13-1, because I was reached out a bunch to during it. Broge, what are your thoughts? Or I can't believe that they lost this way. To me, you're due for a stinker. It's bound to happen. I saw some going, I can't believe Rob Thompson went to the bullpen and put in Nelson and Bellotti. Now, look, this game wasn't lost because of the bullpen decision-making from Rob Thompson. I mean, all these guys failed, so it doesn't matter what order you put them in. Literally, all of them were so bad that Garrett Stubbs had to pitch today. So they were all a mess, walking way too many batters, hitting people at the dish. It was a problem all around. This isn't a managerial loss or anything along those lines. But yeah, it doesn't matter to me whether you lose 13-1 or you lose 6-1 or 4-2 or whatever. You were bound for a loss. But now show me more about this new brand of Phillies baseball by coming out on Monday night and giving us a really tough, strong effort against the Marlins and leaving with a win.
I agree. And I definitely do think that starting with this series against the Marlins, this is going to be a test to prove what this Phillies team is capable of doing. If they're able to come out with a series win, keep winning series like they've been doing throughout this entire stretch, I think this should be a good run for the Phillies, hopefully, in the days to come and the weeks to come as we get towards the All-Star break.
I hope you're right, man. I hope you're right. And I'm feeling good about them in the long term of it. I just needed to rant. I needed to vent. I needed to get out what was bottling up inside of me, which is when I watch Alec Bohm. And you know I'm never going to take a free pass on a Alec Bohm mistake or a handful of mistakes. Whenever that happens, I will be the first to be extremely vocal about it because it's just so hard for me to wrap my head around playing Major League Baseball. You have men on first and second. You get a ground ball and you don't know what to do with it when there's a man running 5 inches in front of your face where you apply the damn tag and possibly could have gotten a double play. And let's say you don't, at least you get the lead runner. How are you that unprepared? And it's not something that's going to change. It's just a part of him. And he's not an everyday third baseman if that's how it's going to be. Now, I've heard so many people upset with Reese that, well, you got to get Bohm over to first and you move Reese Hoskins. He ain't going to be much better at first base. Stop acting as if hiding him at first base. We tried to have Reese Hoskins be hidden at first. He's going to always cause you these fundamental problems there. But what he does is this. He'll do just enough where the excitement level for the positives is there. He's not the worst player ever. He doesn't absolutely blow as a player. I think the hype is a little too strong. And there's people that love him so much that they give him such a long leash that I don't give him the same level of leash. But he'll give you that RBI after making those fundamental mistakes. He'll give you 2 singles in a game after having 3 good games at defense. and we'll look at a couple singles. And then he gets sucked into look, he's giving you singles. All right. 240 range with some singles. I hold my guys more accountable than that. I'm sorry. That's just the way that I am. Let's hear from Amadeo. How you doing, Amadeo?
Yeah, pretty decent. The one thing that I saw from this game, and I know this is not blaming Rangers Suarez whatsoever, even though he wasn't good in this game, he kind of really concerned me with the majority of the starts that he has this year, like what the point you brought up, where he's having a lot of starts where he cannot go past 4 innings at all. The pitch count gets way too high, struggling with command, and I think what you said works. I think maybe if Dave Dombrowski does do something to bolster the rotation, maybe you move him back to the bullpen.
That would be preferred for me. That's more of the long term, though. And it's not like I don't think he could ever put together decent starts, because I've seen him go 7. I've seen him do nice things. I feel it's possible, but day in and day out as a starter, I think he's really starting to struggle. And I just feel that what we saw last year put him in this really awkward spot, which is the bar is set so high and it got so outlandish and so ridiculous that now there's this level that he's trying to reach when that's not really him. And I don't know if emotionally he's trying to battle with that, or mentally, he's trying to live up to that hype, and it's just not really. He's got to find him. I think where he's at now is he doesn't know what the real version of the starting Ranger Suarez is, and he's trying to be in this tier that he's not, which is forcing him to maybe make mistakes when he's throwing, and then it falls into some location problems where he just needs to breathe, relax, and focus on just in the moment. I think he's trying to be Ranger of last year too much, and now he's out of sync because of it.
Yeah, exactly. Like, really, if you look out through his entire career, you look at last season, that was truly like the really first bit of success he's had at the major league level. And the success that he has was out of this world.
Yeah, better than the best pitchers in baseball. Yeah, better than the best pitchers in baseball.
Yeah, then when you look at that, maybe he puts that level to himself where, like you said, maybe he has to go out there and be a little too perfect out there. But at this point where you got to think, you have Zach Wheeler on the mound, who is unbelievable. Aaron Nola this year has been way better than last year. Zach Eflin, he's hit or miss, but when he's on, he's on. Kyle Gibson's a solid veteran. He's going to give you innings. Ranger Suarez, really at this point, we don't need him to be the Ranger from last year. We need him to be basically like what a Kyle Gibson could be. Go out there, eat some innings, and just be basically solid is what we're saying.
I agree. I think that that's fine to ask him to give you 6 or something along those lines. Give you around that frame, 6 innings or so. But I don't have much confidence in him at the very moment. It looks like some are upset with me for talking about JT Realmuto poorly when he had 3 hits. He had 2 infield singles. He did have a double in the second today, but I don't know many out there that are satisfied with the JT Realmuto experience this season. And if you are, I would love to hear from you. I would love to pick your brain on why a 3-hit performance today when they lost by 12. And the biggest at-bat happened to be in the 5th, where he did go down swinging when we needed him most in a high-leverage spot, and he failed miserably. Why that is getting slipped under the radar. And you're mentioning the couple infield singles, one that happened in the 8th when the score was what already? Come on. I think it's pretty obvious that JT Realmuto has been an extreme disappointment so far this year. We'll take one more call and then we'll wrap things up. So we'll bring on our last caller. How are you today?
Hello.
Hello.
Hi. I had a thought and I was wondering your opinion.
Okay.
So my thought is, I know everyone's like, next season we should buy. But I was saying, would it be better for the franchise to do that, or let Moniak, Bohm, Scott in the minor leagues? I know we have Marchand. To let them all, and O'Hop, to let them all develop, because of how lackluster our farm system has been, because you can't survive just by buying players. So.
Yeah, I can't think about next year right now. In the long term of it, is there a issue with their prospects over the handful of years under Matt Klentak? Absolutely. I don't know what we're going to need to buy or whatever. It all comes down to next year. There's so much that's going to happen from now until then. My brain's not even in there in that mindset in general. But yeah, I mean, I don't feel good about Mickey Moniak. I don't feel great about Alec Bohm. I like Bryson Stott. You're signed with Kyle Schwarber, Nick Castellanos, JT Realmuto, Zach Wheeler, Bryce Harper. I mean, you have all of your core guys here. So they're here. What you do surrounding them, well, yeah, it matters what these young kids do, and it matters who's available, and it matters what moves Dave Dombrowski makes at the trade deadline. For example, they picked up Kyle Gibson last year at the deadline. Well, it wasn't just a one-year thing because he's here this year as well. If he is to do something similar again, where he picks up another player, that player happens to have not only just a contract that would help us out this year, but next year too, there's a lot of variables here. So that question is a little too broad without all the knowledge of where this team is going to be next year in the offseason position. Where's Rhys Hoskins? Arbitration. Scott Boras client. What's their philosophy with what they're going to do over at first base? There's a lot in play. And I'll end it here because Brian says, Broads is doing a 180 on Bohm. Didn't he love him after Haters? The home run off Hader. Dude, I talk about this team game by game. If he hits a home run in the ninth inning off Josh Hader, of course I'm going to love the fact that he did that. I've been very consistent on Alec Bohm every single day that there's just something that rubs me the wrong way with him. He does do decent things. There are moments where he does help out the baseball team. And there's a lot of times that he frustrates me, and he frustrates me way more than he satisfies me. But there are times where he does do good things too. And everyone who's listened to me since the start of the Alec Bohm experience knows where I stand. And if you feel that I'm flip-flopping, one, you must not understand the day by day. I just talk about each game. So there's games where he does things well, where he gets the praise that he deserves. And then there's games where he stinks. And then I talk about him in a negative light when he doesn't live up to what I feel is a decent standard for him. Really shouldn't be that difficult to understand. Obviously, I'm a little worked up today, so take that for what it is. Remember, this 30-minute show today, I still love where the team is. I'm okay with where the team is. They're winning series. They're sweeping opponents. They're winning on the road against Milwaukee. All of that is real, and that is a great step in the right direction. I'm excited for what's going to happen against the Miami Marlins. I can't wait to see what type of team we see in this Phillies uniform this week because the response is crucial, and it will inform us a lot of information. It'll inform us information. It will tell us information. We will be informed by the way that they play. I was aggravated today. Just one of those days. Just one of those days. Thank you guys so much. Hit the subscribe button. Utilize the promo code BROADS at SeatGeek's checkout page for $20 off. And then lastly, social media. Follow me on TikTok at Broads Media. Thank you guys so much. I'll catch you tomorrow.